Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode in my Football Manager series. This is episode number 101, and today we are returning with the final episode of this series as we take one last look at the save, show you things you wouldn't normally see in a regular FM episode, and go in depth with what's gone on throughout the 10 seasons we spent at the Cardiff City Stadium. So loads of things to get through in the series finale. Let's just get straight to them. So essentially this is going to be a special in-depth look at the save video with a few additional things as well, such as former Cardiff players, what they did throughout the save after we let them go or they decided to move on, and also a few other things as well. So it should be a very, very long video, this one. So if you haven't already, pause the video, go make yourself a drink, something to eat as well, and enjoy what should be a good, fun series finale. So we'll start the long episode off with a look at yours truly, and you can see my profile here on the screen for you. As you can see, my reputation is now 4.5 stars. I do have the Continental Pro License Coaching Qualification, which is of course the most the top coaching qualification you can get in the game. And you can see my characteristic here, my coaching ability and my mental ability as well. As I've mentioned before, when you progress throughout the save with your coaching qualifications, when you complete coaching courses, these stats will increase. And as far as I'm aware, the points are allocated randomly, but I've always said I really wish you could allocate the points yourself once you complete the coaching course. Because, like, for example, my working with youngsters stat is 4, but as you've seen throughout the say, we've had a really good tradition of bringing through good young talent. But you see my motivating stat there being 18, I really like that, but level of discipline 3 is pretty poor. My best opinion, you can see 5 of them there. Jamie Vardy's in that list, and also my 2 worst opinions. Funny enough, Luis Enrique and Nuno. Not entirely sure why. But you see here at the bottom as well, the honours that I won in the career with Cardiff City. Where are your competitions? Oh, no, it's just going to do too many. You can see them here. Obviously, we won 2 Carabao Cups, 2 FA Cups, 2 Community Shields, and a Premier League, plus, of course, Champions League too. And as for my career stats, you see them here. We earned £27 million in total, buying 70 players, selling 46. Our record signing was Dennis 2 years ago, and our record sales, but Lenio Fernandez to Barcelona for £85 million. We played 523 games, winning 298, drawing 98, and losing 127, and our win percentage was 56% as well, so pretty impressive. I also picked up 3 Manager of the Years throughout the series as well. My first one coming back in 2021. I think that was our 3rd year with Cardiff as well, so that's pretty good. And also quite a few Manager of the Month awards. Well, plus, of course, after this season winning the Champions League, I got put into the English Hall of Fame as well, which is nice to see. And I think that's what I want to show you from me. Oh, I suppose my contract is where we can end it here. As you can see, I'm on 90 grand a week right now, and my deal is due to expire in 2 years' time as well. So moving into the boys in the backroom staff, and I'll go through my complete coaching team throughout our senior team, reserve team, and our youth team as well. And we'll start with that right now. You can see our coaches here, the contracts they're on, the coaching qualifications they've got as well. As we know, lots of ex-pros part of our backroom staff, which if you've watched my FM saves before, you'll know is very, very traditional with me. I like to have a backroom staff full of former internationals and former ex-pros. I think it is a trivial thing. I don't think it has any sort of impact whatsoever on your current players' development, but I just feel as though bringing through ex-pros, again, it might be trivial, but I like it. I think it's sort of, I don't know, does it help in any way? I don't think so, but I still like to do it. It's quite fun. You can see you've got Devin Shalis, James Lehmann, Henrik Larsson, of course, my right-hand man, Dennis Bergkamp, lots of ex-pros here. And as I mentioned before, we've got the best coaching staff in the division, and this is a part of the game. I don't like to give tips because, as I always say, I'm not very good at the game, but this is a part of the game. If you want to improve, you can't afford to neglect this side. You need a good coaching staff, and in my opinion, the best way to do it is to find specialists in certain areas as opposed to having a balanced coaching team through people that can do pretty much everything. Having a specialist in a specific attribute and then assigning that attribute, assigning that coach to that level of training, I've always found is the best way to do it. So that's our backroom staff, and briefly as well on Henrik Larsson, my right-hand man. I'll probably say my favourite assistant manager I've had in any FM save I've ever done on YouTube. It still baffles me to this day that after 8 years with us, he never got a single job offer to go and actually manage a club. I don't know why. He's got the attributes to do that, and he could definitely succeed with all the things he's learnt being my right-hand man. But Henrik Larsson, we're very close, and he's definitely my favourite assistant manager of all time, man. He's been here for pretty much everything. And as for under-23's coaching, you can see it looks like this. Craig Bellamy is actually the under-18s manager in real life when he started the game, but I gave him an under-23's coaching job instead, as I felt it was more better suited to that role. And you can also see our under-18s coaching team as well, featuring one of our former players and someone we'll always have a soft spot for as well, Johnny Evans, our under-18s coach. Gotta love it. Now, as for our scouting and data team as well, you can see it has improved over the years, but it still isn't the best in the division. As I mentioned once before, the reason why that's the case is because we don't have a big scouting budget to attract the premier scouts in the world, but it's still a very thick one. I think we've got 15 scouts here, yeah, 15 scouts, and you can see them all here in the screen for you, including Freddie Lundberg, who we hired this season as well, which I thought was very interesting indeed. And as for our medical team, so we've got the best physiotherapy and sports science team in the division, and that's what it's currently looking like right now. So let's move higher up the club then and go into the boardroom and see what the top brass think of us here at Cardiff City. As you can see, our job security is very secure, and we're at 68% right now as well. Of course, we had a takeover a couple of years ago, and I kind of preferred having Vincent Tan here. He was a bit more sort of lenient when granting a request with us, but either way, the club right now is very healthy in terms of the finance. We'll get to that in a moment, and right now you can see we've just improved our youth facilities during this season, and of course our stadium expansion was completed 2 years ago as well, as we're still waiting to find out what's going to happen in terms of our new stadium. So you can see here right now, they're satisfied or pleased or delighted on every single area of our coaching at the moment with the club, which is very nice to see. And let's move to the finances as well then whilst we're here. And you can see right now, it is £150 million, our bank balance, after a very profitable season 10. We're the richest we've ever been throughout the save. We were only in the red once, and that was briefly last season. Other than that, we've been very healthy indeed, and the past 2 years in particular, we've had a very, very good amount of income as well, which is very handy indeed. And as we know, for next season, if we were to go into the next season, we'd have £88.8 million to spend in the transfer budget as well. And for those that are curious about this sort of section, you can see the income of the club, where our revenue is generated, our expenditure, and also our wage budget as well, which, as you can see, is about the same and has been about the same now for the past year, which is pretty interesting indeed. But as you can see, right from season 1 and, well, that's actually season 4, season 5, it's gone up and up and up and up and up. But hey, you've got to spend money to make money, as you say, and there you go. And as for moving into the overview of the club section as well, you can see right here, let's do our facilities first. You can see we're still at the Cardiff City Stadium, 42,000 seats, but of course, as we know, we've now been granted planning permission for our new stadium, which is going to be a planned capacity of 56,500 seats. We don't know when that's going to be, when the work's going to start on that though, but as for our facilities, our youth facilities are excellent, and our training facilities are great. And for the new season, if we were to go into it, that's definitely one thing I'd look to do for the new season: improve our training facilities and also our data analysis facilities as well. So the club now is a 5-star reputable club as well, which is of course the maximum you can get, so that's great to see too. And as we move into the general section of the club as well, you can see that we've got 2 players in the favourite personnel after this season: Carl Zelenya and of course Champions League winner in the end, Pedro Antonio, on the favourite personnel list. Shame that Goncalves never got on there, or Kimpembe. Well, I thought at least Goncalves should have been on there, but there you go. On the icons list, Sessegnon, as we know, got added to the list this year, and Maria is still there as well. Very disappointing Maria never made it onto the Legends list. I did say earlier on in the save I believe that come the end of the series, me, Jason and Maria would all be considered legends. In the end, Paleo never made it, which is funny because when you think about it, Maria was probably the best player of the save in terms of his ability, and of course what he did for the club as well. His goal to game ratio just absolutely phenomenal. The fact he never got onto the Legends list, I can only imagine the reason why is because throughout the series, throughout the save, it seemed like every other season or every season he kept on saying I want to leave the club and move elsewhere, because he never did. But he stays on the icons list. But Jason, who bleeds blue as we know, he's there, and as am I as well. So we add to the 3 legends that were there already, and that's nice enough to see. And I mentioned before, the new stadium, sometimes it can be named after a legend. I would love it if it ended up becoming the Jason Arena or the Jason Stadium or something. That would be amazing. Tell you what, let's do one final look at our current Cardiff team, shall we? So as you can see, this is the side we've got. to end the series. The best team we've had in the series as well, no question about it. So only fitting we won the Champions League this year with, again, our best side ever. Absolutely fantastic talent all throughout the team. A lot of it as well in the mid to early 20s too, which means that we got this team set for a very good amount of years to come. There are some veterans here as well, of course, either way, but it's still a really youthful team for the most part. But that's the contract situation at the club as well. As you can see, at the end of the season, we got 4 players with their deals up. Coutinho and Casemiro, who are only here on 1-year deals and get released coming the end of the season anyway, but Sterling, and also Scott McTominay too, into Milan, who's going back after his loan spell. And Sterling, I'm not sure if I give Sterling a new deal if it was to continue. I probably would, but when you look at his report card now, his physical's declining quite rapidly. He's only now a leading player for most Sky Bet Championship sides, so might well be wiser just to let him go on a free transfer. But anyway, that's not for me to decide now, is it? Because we're leaving after this season. And also a brief look at our under-23s and our under-18s as well. As you can see, there are a few decent youngsters here. Parai, probably the best one, currently out on loan at Lazio right now. Has the youth work permit, but still very talented indeed, and has done well this year in the Serie A, scoring 7 goals, getting 9 assists in 33 games. A couple others as well, including João Carlos, who we've seen back out on loan. Guilherme, and of course the Icelandic kid in the Serie A as well. And as for our proper academy, our under-18s, this is how it's looking right now. There's, again, a couple of decent youngsters in here, but it's a shame that throughout the course of the series, we never really had, he should be in under-23s, we never really had like an amazing youth prospect coming through the academy naturally, like a Clinton Webster or a Sam Redman, for those who watch my Swansea and Millwall saves in previous years. But Josh Cotterill is the only one that really broke into the first team, but he never really developed and got any good anyway, so yeah. One brief look at the dynamics of the club as well, how we leave the club. As you can see, the team cohesion is very good. The dressing room atmosphere is excellent, maxed out right now, and the managerial support is also excellent as well. No issues within the team, no negatives whatsoever here as well. This is, I mean, this to me is like, this is my porn. Looking at this, this is just, oh yeah, I couldn't ask for anything better and anything more arousing. And as for the, just stop for a second. It's amazing that there are some people out there that actually think I'm cool. I'm a cool guy. No, I'm really not. I'm just a total fucking nerd. Such a loser. But anyway, moving on to the hierarchy of the club. You can see right now our 3 team leaders to end the save are Paleo Maria, the vice captain, Ryan Sessegnon, and also Presnel Kimpembe as well. I was so glad he became a team leader in the end, as we were anticipating. Jason, of course, the captain, stepped down this season to be a highly influential player alongside Goncalves, Jordi Ramsden, Alenia Gonzalez, Pedro Antonio, Sterling, Dennis, Stefano, Fans, McTominay, and Rabiot as well. I've always wondered if this is sort of like in order or it's just in a random order. So for the fact that, for example, the 3 team leaders, it'll be Maria 1, Sessegnon 2, and Kimpembe 3. I've always wondered if that's the actual order of the leaders or whether it'll just be random and just put in there randomly. I've never actually known that. I'd like to get a definitive answer on that. But also our influential players here and the other players are down below as well. I find it interesting that 3 of our veterans aren't even considered influential players here. Josh Cotterill is apparently more influential than Casemiro, Coutinho, or Samuel Umtiti. Very interesting. But as for our social groups too, we've got 2 splits right now, the core and the secondary social as well, and it's a very even split as well, with I think 12 in the core, or perhaps 13 in the core maybe, and I don't know, there's enough in the core, enough in the social, but again it's quite balanced here, with an equal amount in both. So next up, I'm going to take you around the world and let you guys know what's been going on in world football right now with the major European leagues and also the lower leagues in England as well, which we'll start off with, as you saw how the Premier League finished this year with Cardiff City finishing runners-up to Liverpool, who have, of course, as we know, been the best team in the English football world in this series. They've been absolutely brilliant and, again, the best team in English football, no doubt about it. I'm so buzzing at Millwall finished in 8th place. Well, they were 1 point away from Europa League football after gaining promotion last year. I said at the start of the season, they're relegated, there's no way they're staying up. That to me is just, I was so happy about that, man. Absolutely buzzing. But moving down the leagues, you can see the Championship, this is how it finished this season. Leeds beating West Ham in a playoff final, and that's how the final league table finished as well. As for League One, this is how League One finished this year when we get to it. Here we are, Coventry beating Pompey in the League One final, and this is how the League One table finished too. And I don't have the conference or anything lower than that loaded, so we can only look at League 2 as the final league in the pyramid loaded for us in this one. But Aldershot won the playoff final, beating Chesterfield in the playoff final, and as you can see, the League 2 table finished like this. So moving through the other top leagues in European football, we'll go through them one by one, going down the list in terms of competition reputation, starting with the La Liga table as well. And once again this year it was won by Real Madrid. As we know throughout the save, they've won it every single season apart from season 1. And here's an interesting little fact for you guys as well interesting to me at least, for those that might be curious about this. Back in season 6, when we lost the Champions League final to Milan, we were minutes away from winning it, as you guys know. And I planned, if we were to win the Champions League back in season 6, to resign in that summer season and try and get the job at Barcelona for season 7 onwards. So move abroad, go to the Camp Nou, and try and topple Real Madrid's dominance. That's what I would have done how we won the Champions League final back in season 6. Alas, that didn't happen. Milan scored a late equaliser, won it on penalties. The rest is history. And of course, we then won it this year in season 10. But that's what I was going to do. I was going to resign and then try and join Barcelona and try and topple Real Madrid's dominance in Spain. So interesting fact for you guys, or hopefully interesting. As for the Bundesliga, this year it was won by Borussia Dortmund, their first title in the save, I believe. Yes, it is indeed. And Bayern and Bayer Leverkusen have been the more dominant sides in Germany this year, but Dortmund on top for the first time this year. The Serie A won by Milan. They've been the most dominant side in Italy. Lazio, I think Inter Milan have been the other winners. Oh, Juventus too in the second season. But Milan, the best team in Italy right now, by far, winning the title by 10 points this season. Sadly, I don't have any other leagues loaded, so we can only go through the winners and the runners-up in third place for the other leagues. But starting with Ligue 1, Paris Saint-Germain have been dominant in France, as we've seen throughout the course of the past years in real life, and also in the save as well. They've won the last 7 titles, with Monaco and then Lyon 3 years ago being runners-up as well. So they are dominating French football right now, but that's not a real surprise. As you guys know, they are the best team in the world right now, so no great surprise this. Portuguese Premier League this year was won by Benfica, with Porto finishing runners-up. As I mentioned quite often, pretty much every single FM save I do, every single season, it's Benfica and Porto, the 1 and 2, with Sporting in third place. I don't think I've ever seen any other team other than Benfica or Porto win the Portuguese Premier League in an FM save for me. It's their league. The Russian Premier League seems to have not finished this year, but last year it was won by Zenit, with CSKA Moscow finishing runners-up. The Dutch League won by Ajax. They've been the best team in the Netherlands throughout the course of this save. We'll make our way down to 15th place, which is the Danish Superliga. Beginning the Turkish Super League this year was won by... sorry, that's not finished this year either. That was won by Besiktas last year, though. The Ukrainian Premier League, that's not finished this year either, interestingly enough. But last year it was won by Shakhtar Donetsk. Why have these leagues not finished? Well, this one has. That was the Scottish Premier League, won by Celtic this year, with Rangers finishing runners-up. Speaking of teams that dominate every single season in FM saves I do, Celtic and Rangers, I've never seen another Scottish team win the SPL throughout a save I've done as well. I think I missed the Swiss League, didn't I? The Swiss Super League, that was won by Basel, again, last year, not this year. Very interestingly, indeed. And the Belgian Pro League this year was won by Club Brugge. This year, their second title in the course of the last 10 years. And the final two, this one being the Polish League, that was won by Legia Warsaw this year. And the final one we'll do is the Danish Super League. That was won by a team that I can never pronounce. Well, that was last year, actually. FC Midtjylland won it last year. And let's do a couple more whilst we're here, shall we? The Austrian Premier League last year as well. Why are they not doing it this year? Austria Vienna won it last year. Let's do the Greek Super League. This year was won by PAOK. And let's do a couple more. The Romanian Super League, that was won by CFR Cluj last year. Why can't it just be this year showing us? And let's do one more, shall we? The Israeli Premier League was won by Hapoel Be'er Sheva. And let's do one more whilst we're here. The Croatian First League won by the Dynamo Zagreb. Let's do one more whilst we're still here. The Serbian League, that was won last year by Vojvodina. And let's leave it there. Now let's do one more. The Czech First Division. That was won again last year by Zlin. And I think we'll have to leave it there. Actually, fuck it, let's do Sweden and Norway. Sweden, last year won by IFK Göteborg, and Norway was won by, where are we here? Where's Norway? There we are. Norwegian Premier Division was won by Vålerenga. last year as well. Annoyingly, I might need to like advance another like week in the save before the official season is ended for those leagues. I'm not entirely sure, but let's do the cups as well. Let's do the cups too. First, the FA Cup in England. As we know, this year was won by Arsenal. They beat Middlesbrough in the final after they beat us in the semis. As you can see, we won it 2 years of the past 4, but it's Liverpool's once again. They've been the best team in England throughout the course of the past 10 years in the cup as well as the league as well. The Copa España, the Spanish Cup, if you will, Copa del Rey, was won by Real Madrid the past 2 years. That's the only competition they've not succeeded and had a dominant hold on in Spain throughout the course of the save. The Swiss Cup is the 3rd highest in competition reputation, funny enough. Basel won it last year. Let's do the German Cup as well. That was won by who this year? Bayern Munich, beating Werder Bremen in the final. The Portuguese Cup was won by Benfica last year. And let's do a couple more. The Scottish Cup won by Rangers. The Austrian Cup was won by RB Salzburg last year. The Italian Cup won by Lazio. Oh, go on, Parai, helping Lazio win the Coppa Italia. Let's do the top 10. The Belgian Cup won by Anderlecht last year. And the final was the Polish FA Cup won by Legia Warsaw. We'll do the French Cup and also, have we done the German? Yeah, we've done German. Let's do the French Cup just to end on as well. That was won by Paris Saint-Germain. Oh my goodness gracious me. Just let them have it every single season at the start of it. They can't lose this trophy. What did I say, man? They are the best team in the world at this stage in the game, which makes our achievement, beating them in the semis of this competition, even better. So with the Champions League then, we'll go through the major European competitions as well. The Champions League, as we know, won by us this year. Arsenal won it last year, as we know, after they knocked out in the semis. PSG 3 years ago. The other winners, Barcelona, Milan, Bayer Leverkusen, Man United, Barcelona, PSG again. And in the first year, it was won by Manchester City. The Europa League... Here we are. Roma beat Southampton, interesting enough, in the final by 3-2. As you can see, the English teams have done well in this competition as well throughout the course of the save. City won it last year. Chelsea won it 3 years ago. City the year before. And then the first 3 years of the save, it was Chelsea, Man United and Arsenal that won it. So English winners plenty in the Euro Cup in this save. It's the Copa Libertadores in this save. Oh, it is indeed. Yes, we'll see that first then. That was won by River Plate this year, it appears. Oh, it's the second round of this year. But last year was won by River Plate. Year before that, Sao Paulo, then Corinthians, River Plate again, Palmeiras, Independiente, Boca Juniors, and River Plate were the winners throughout the course of the save. Let's do the Asian Champions League as well, because that's always quite interesting. That was won by Guangzhou last year. Oh, no, Oduriozola wouldn't have been part of the squad then, would he? But these are the winners of the Asian Champions League. And we'll also do the African Champions League as well, for those interested in that. I don't have any of these teams loaded either, but as you can see, this team here, ES Tunis, have won it pretty much every single season throughout the save, but it's always, of course, going to be like new gens and regens and obscure players as well, because again, we don't have any of these teams loaded or any of the leagues loaded in Africa. But either way, for those interested, Tunis have been dominant in the African Champions League throughout the course of the save. And moving on to international football, starting with the World Cup. Of course, the last winners 2 years ago were Germany in the 2026 competition. Argentina won it in 2022. France, of course, won it in 2018, but of course that was in real life, so well done me, you stupid idiot. But the holder is going to be Spain in 2 years' time, interestingly enough. As for the European Championship as well, there is going to be a European Championship this year, which is going to be interesting to see. Oh, that's the Champions League, sorry. There we are, European Football Championship. It's Euro 2028 this year. Italy won it 4 years ago even, and they're hosting the competition this year. Spain won it back in 2020, and these are the groups for Euro 2028. We've got quite a few representatives this year as well, so there you go. Let's do the Copa America as well. And you guys can see what's been going on right now over there. Right now, as you can see, Brazil won it 4 years ago. There's another one happening this year. These are the 3 groups for you on the screen. Argentina won it back in 2020 and Brazil in 2019. Let's also do the African Cup of Nations as well to end the international stage. Cameroon are the holders of this. They won it in 2020. Oh, yes, Andre, yes, he's been capped 103 times for Cameroon, and he's finally got them an African Cup of Nations. Go on, Andre, oh, that's brilliant, I'm pleased to see that, and there's one... There's one coming next year. I'm sorry, I mentioned this before. I absolutely love it when your players win something on the international stage without you. I really like that. He's not our player anymore, of course, but either way, that's still great to see. 2 years ago, Ivory Coast won it, and Senegal won it 3 years in a row between 2019 and 2023. Go on, Onana. And I'm not sure there's any more international competitions to show you, so we'll leave it on that mark there. So what we'll do then next is go through the best players in world football right now, and you can see who is currently the most valued players in the world. As you can see, and this is why I said PSG are the best team in the world, they've got the best amount of talent in world football right now. Mbappe is the most valuable player in the world, earning more money than anyone else on £700,000 per week, valued at £101 million, and you can see his stats on the screen for you. You can see why he's on 700 grand a week. My goodness. Next up, a new gen/regen called Carlos Ledesma, removed from Real Madrid 3 years ago. This guy, one of the most complete midfielders or attacking midfielders in the world. Absolutely phenomenal. Another PSG player next, Samuel Ferreira, a Brazilian midfielder. How the fuck did we beat these guys back in Season 6 and Season 10 in the Champions League? This year, more staggering than anything, Dembele next, with the injuries and the suspensions we had, especially in the first leg. Brian Carrera, the one that got away. God! We could have had this guy had I not been so bloody stupid back in Season 4, I think it was. One of the best strikers in world football, if not the best striker in world football right now. Xavi, a left-sided player that came from Barcelona, funnily enough, in the save. We could have signed him as well way back in the day, but I never in the end went for him, although he probably wouldn't have came anyway back then. Also, Gravenberch as well, of course, the Dutch midfielder, he's here too, and we'll do a few more as well. Kai Havertz, who's playing for Bayern Munich in the save right now, absolutely well class on that about it. Phil Foden, interestingly enough, he was let go by Man City on a free transfer 2 years ago, and Real Madrid snapped him up to make him play in Madrid, and you can see he's developed incredibly well throughout the game. Lucas Alba, this is a young German striker playing for Bayern Munich right now. I think they'd have signed this guy a few years ago. Brian Martinez, an American midfielder playing for Real Madrid, and we'll do one more whilst we're here, and that's Christian Pulisic, who's playing for Real Madrid in the game after leaving Chelsea after 9 years with the Blues. And there's a few more down here for you as well, including Bertlenio Fernandez. I am going to go through a few former Cardiff players whilst we're here. Bertlenio Fernandez, for those that wondered how Fernandez got on throughout his career, he moved to the Camp Nou, and he elevated his game. He left us after a few good years when he joined us. I think it was the age 17 when he joined us, but after he left us after 3 years, the guy he sort of like, he was let out of his cage. You know, it's like a bird let out of his cage, and then he flourished in the open. But Lenio Fernandez, absolutely phenomenal. Perfectionist personality, can play with either foot, elite striker, and just the most phenomenal stats. And it's a shame that his goals have never helped Barcelona topple Real Madrid, but there you go. Absolutely phenomenal. And he's done well out there in Spain, and we miss him a lot, but it was right to let him go. We got a good amount of money for him, and it's great to see him succeeding out there in Catalonia as well. And I think to end the save, it would be quite fitting to go through our former players throughout the course of the series and look at our best 11s throughout every single season of the 10 we spent at the Cardiff City Stadium. Starting with, of course, our inaugural year with Cardiff City. How things have changed since then. This was our best possible lineup back in Season 1. My goodness, imagine having this team in Season 10. We wouldn't have won the Champions League this year, that's for sure. But we'll show a few players here from Season 1. First, I think Vic Camarasa, probably the most noteworthy player out of those lot here. Big Dick Vic, as we called him. Of course, I left after 8 years and went to Espanyol on a free transfer. Spent a year there, and now he's joined Pescara in the Serie A for a year. Camarasa, he sort of left in unsavoury terms, but he was so great for us in the years he spent for us. He, of course, was part of the first official season with Cardiff City when we joined them. He was there already on loan, and we signed him in Season 2 permanently for £4.7 million. He was such a consistent member of our squad, and as I mentioned, in pretty much every single season, he was our best passer and had the highest pass completion ratio. Ryan Tunnicliffe, obviously worth showing you, formerly of Millwall. We signed him back in Season 1 because I needed a workhorse, and his stats here were what we were looking for, and he sort of laid down the groundwork for what we were after at Cardiff City. He's now playing for Colchester United in the game right now. And also Harry Arter as well. He's now retired and is an under-18s coach at Aston Villa, which I find very interesting indeed. He was brilliant in season 1, probably our best player. And also a couple others as well, including Josh Murphy. As we know, Murphy became like a player sort of known for scoring big, important goals. For those that didn't watch in season 1, we were on the brisk of relegation in the final few games, and he won us 2 games in 3 in 1-0 victories, scoring both of those goals. He scored a lot of big goals throughout the course of the save, including a goal against Manchester United in the Carabao Cup semi-final. He scored, I think it was our first ever FA Cup win. He scored, I think it was in the quarterfinals against Lincoln City when we were minutes away from humiliation, being knocked out by a lower league side. He scored for us to send the game into extra time, and then got a hat-trick in extra time as well. He became known for scoring big goals in big games, but he left us after, I think it was 7 years at the club as well. And of course, he had an amazing first year, then an amazing season 5 when he was just out of nowhere. He was just literally unstoppable. But after that, things sort of went south for him in the final 2 years. He now plays for Rangers, and he's there at Ibrox right now with another former Cardiff player, Joe Rawls, interestingly enough. He also had an amazing season for us back in season 4, but we let him go on a free transfer as well. He joined Rangers too, and it was a season 4 or season 3? It was season 3 actually, when he scored 10 goals and got 3 assists in 38. He was on fire, but next year not quite as good. Let him go on a free, and he and Josh Murphy right now are playing at Ibrox together. So that's season 1 for you. Season 2, and our team ended up looking like this. I'll show you a couple of players from this here as well. First, Andre Onana, who you saw briefly a moment ago. As we know, we swapped him to Schalke at the Veltins Arena to get Stefan Fans, one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now. It was really hard for me to do that, but as I mentioned when we made the decision, we just had to do it because we had to start being ruthless. If we were to become an elite club in world football, we couldn't be sentimental. We had to start being ruthless with our decision making. So swapping Onana to Schalke, it hurt, but it was the right thing to do because he was just so error prone. Probably the most error prone goalkeeper I've ever had in any FM save I've ever done. But having said that, he did win us 2 Carabao Cups, an FA Cup, and a Community Shield as well. He was a regular member of our team. I think he was probably... Yeah, he was. Of course he was. I was going to say he's probably the most capped goalkeeper for us at Cardiff. Of course he was. But he was our regular number 1 throughout the years he spent with us. I thought he'd be here until we finished a save, but instead let him go to Schalke, and he's done well there at the Veltins Arena. Great to see him win that African Cup of Nations as well. And as we always said, what's that phrase? You live by Onana, you die by Onana. And it was great to see him sort of flourish at Schalke as well after letting him go. And I'll show you one more player as well from season 2. That's Johnny Evans, as we know now, an under-18s coach. Left us to Dallas, FC Dallas in the save. Probably one of our smartest pieces of business throughout the course of this series as well. Signed for £3 million, and he was just consistently good in the 3 years with us, where he was sort of more of a consistent player. But let's just say that the 2 years, and then the final 2 years didn't really play, but still led the team well when he was required to do so, particularly in the dressing room. Season 3, a couple more players to show you, starting with, there he is, our arch nemesis, Harry Maguire, who after leaving us could never find a home because all the clubs knew he's baggage. Harry Maguire, he's got too much baggage. But Maguire, of course, as we know, we signed him back in season 3, I think it was, and he never worked out. Made him captain, and his disciplinary problems were just something I just could not excuse. Signed him for £11 million, had his captaincy stripped in his second season for us and given to Jason. We sold him to Spurs for £25 million, made a profit of £14 million. What an absolute fleece that was to sell him to Spurs there. He was then loaned out to Wolves for a year, came back to Spurs, then left to join Huddersfield, £15 million. Was made captain there, then left to join Southampton, then to join Burnley. He's never really settled ever since leaving Leicester City, and there you go. And also Claude Ajapong, the right back we signed, he's now playing for Chelsea in the save. He's developed really well since we sold him, and is a key member of their team right now at Stamford Bridge. After he left us, he joined Stoke for a year, then Bournemouth for free, and now he's in his 3rd year at Chelsea. So yeah, we sold him for £23 million after 2 years, and he's really developed well in his final couple of years playing for Chelsea. Season 4, and our best ever team looked like this. I'll show you a couple more players. First, Weston McKennie, good old Weston McKennie. Of course, I had McKennie in a Millwall sale we did last year, and you know why I signed Weston McKennie. I really, really like McKennie a lot, but you guys just never took to him, and probably rightfully so, because he was never really that good for us, if I'm being totally honest. He was always bang average at best, and that's at best. So it's only right that you guys were keen to get him out of the club, and eventually after 7 years with us, I decided to cash in, and for £40 million, what a sale that was at the start of the season. I'll always be thankful for the dirty work McKennie did with us, but it's safe to say I could not turn down £40 million. That was incredible. But anyway, McKennie left after a good lot of years for us, and he served us well. And James Ward-Prowse, the other player I'll show you as well. At the time, I think he was a club record signing for us. He spent 5 years with us, played really, really well. He averaged a high rating every single season with us, 6.8 or higher every single season, or I should say 6.9 or higher every single season apart from one. Didn't score or assist that many goals, but his pass completion ratio was good. Sold him to Everton 2 years ago though for £20 million, and he got a fresh start. I think that was probably best for him and also for us as well. Season 5 is when we became a possession-based team and we changed our tactical system. And for this one, I don't think there's anyone to show you from Season 5. It's worth pointing out. I've already showed you Bertlenio Fernandez, and there's no one really that jumps out here. I suppose Odriozola I could show you for those interested. Odriozola now looks like this. Of course, we had him up until last year. I should say this year, when we sold him to Guangzhou, and that's how he's doing right now in China, for those curious. Moving on to the next season, Season 6, our first ever run in the Champions League, where of course we reached the final. Is there anyone to show you from this year as well? I'm not entirely sure there is, to be honest. No, I think that's probably that. So moving on to Season 7, you can see the list of players we had this year in our 7th year at Cardiff City. And this is when we sort of retained our best players throughout the team as well, and didn't look to sell anyone. Season looked like this, and again, there's no one really worth showing you here, because all the key players are still here. In fact, all the players here are still here apart from Andre Onana. Season 9. And of course, Season 10. Is there anyone I'm missing here? I feel like I'm missing like one key player to show you. I'm not entirely sure there is. But Season 10, of course, our best 11 like this. And as for our overall best 11 throughout the course of the series, this is what our best 11 would be. Andre Onana in goal. Back four of Helder Goncalves, Jordi, Kimpembe and Odriozola, with McKennie and Alenya sitting deep. Further forward, Sessegnon on the left, Jason on the right, and the OG supporting Paleo Maria. And on the bench, Henderson, Metham, Stefano Camaras, and Murphy, Ward-Prowse and Antonio. So I can show you Chris Metham, what he's done throughout the course of the save. He left to join Bournemouth after 4 years, spent 3 years there, then a year at Chelsea, and then moved across to their West London rivals Fulham for Season 10. And our most capped player throughout the course of the save, I can't do it like that, but it would have been Paleo Maria with 373 appearances. Then it would have been who? Sessegnon? Sessegnon with 326. Then Jason, surely, with 312. Then Goncalves with 300. And our fifth would have been Andre Onana with 296 appearances in a Cardiff City shirt. What a team. And I think that is pretty much everything I wanted to show you in our one last look at the save video. I can't think of anything else I'm missing here. I suppose the record to the club. Can I just show you the... Okay, this might be better for you. The player individual records and also the team records for you on the left-hand side. Is there anything I can show you sort of in depth? Feel free to pause the video, by the way, if you're interested in looking at this sort of stuff. Is there anything I could show you? Perhaps players, most overall goals by season... nothing too interesting, I suppose, worth showing you here. But so that's pretty much all I wanted to show you in the one last look at the save video. And thus, I think we'll leave it there. So yeah, what an incredible series it's been, guys. And as I mentioned in the last episode, episode number 100, thank you so much for all of the support throughout the course of the series. It really has been one of my absolute favourite FM saves for YouTube. And I'd probably say, as much as I enjoyed last year, I would probably say it's been my favourite FM save that I've produced for YouTube. It's been so fun. The players have been so fun and interesting as well. And of course, this guy's been my favourite ever FM player of all time. Not just for a YouTube save, but any I've ever done. Jason the Alpha Male. What a bloody legend this guy is, man. And it's great to know as well we stopped the series before he retires, because I couldn't have handled him retiring. I couldn't have handled him hanging up his boots. I would have started crying. But what a fantastic save it's been. And thank you so much for all the support throughout the save as well. It really has been fantastic. It's been great to see how much you guys have enjoyed the save as well. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. and it's, again, without doubt been my favourite FM save for YouTube, and one of my favourite ever FM saves I've ever produced. Not just for YouTube, but for myself, just playing the game personally as well. You know, I started playing this game many moons ago. My first full Football Manager / Championship Manager was Championship Manager 4. Some of you guys might not even been born back then, and it's amazing to see how the game has evolved over the course of all these years. I think my first ever FM/CM was a demo disc I got with a box of cereal a long time ago now, but I love this game so much. It brings me so much joy. I really do get lost in this world, and to bring this world to life and to entertain you with it and to show you guys what's going on in this world every single day has just been a real privilege. I've been so grateful for your support throughout the course of this save and every single FM save I've ever done for YouTube. To me, this is like an escape from the problems I have, from the shit that goes on every now and then. It's like an escape, just to dive into this world, forget about what's going on in my real world, and just to go through it, to play the games, to make the videos, to entertain. It's been an absolute joy, and it's not been possible without your support throughout the course of the series, and again, every single series I've done as well. So from me to you, thank you sincerely for all the support, because I know it's a bit of a cliche, but the truth is, I couldn't do this without you, and we as YouTubers could not do this without you. So thank you. Thank you so much for all the support and just for being a viewer. Whether you've left a comment or a like or anything like that throughout the save, just by viewing, you've made this possible, and I appreciate that very, very much indeed. So to end with, lots of you guys have been asking me, will I let you guys play the save? And the answer is yes. If this is the first save of mine you've watched, firstly, thank you, and I really hope you've enjoyed it. But basically, at the end of every FM save I do, I upload the save to a file hosting website, and it means that you guys can carry on the Football Manager save yourselves. You can either put me on holiday permanently if you'd like to do so. Where am I here? FM. Whoopsie daisy, FM. Oh no, you don't do it like that, wouldn't you? You can put me on holiday permanently if you'd like to do so, and make sure I stay away whilst you manage another club and try and topple me managing Cardiff, or if you want, you can take over as me and try and continue the Cardiff legacy, or perhaps go elsewhere with me and try your hand elsewhere. So yes, I'll let you guys play the save. There'll be a link in the description down below for where the save is currently hosted on a file hosting website. Any problems, let me know on Twitter, but yeah, you can download the save there, and I think you might have to look or Google where you put the save file in your computer, because I can't remember where it's located, but you put the FM save somewhere, and that allows you to continue the save in your Football Manager game as well. So yeah, it's yours, and you're free to do what you want with it now, and enjoy, and hopefully you guys enjoy either trying to topple me as manager of Cardiff or taking over as me and continuing the Cardiff legacy. So thank you very much for all support throughout season 10 and the entire series as well, guys. I've really had so much fun producing this. It's been my favourite FM series for YouTube ever, and I could not be thankful for your support as well. I'm going to be taking a break from YouTube for a while, for those that are aware what's coming next, but I'll let you know more about that in the YouTube post and also on Twitter as well. So thank you for everything. Much love to you all. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for all support throughout the course of the series, and enjoy playing the game as well if you wish to do so. Much love, guys, and hopefully I won't be gone too long, and I'll see you for another video very soon. Bye now.